right, guys, welcome to my channel, and we're actually just going to jump right into things because I don't have a ton of time today, right? I've been doing those live videos a little bit longer just because I've been having fun in them. The market has been so interesting, and isn't it interesting, right? We said this is where things are going to get really interesting, and we're just getting started, right? So the big thing to point out here with the daily expected moves, 594.23 to the upside, 583.03 to the downside. Key thing is breakdown area to the upside, and the weekly expected move comes into play at the downside. So we'll be paying attention to a few things that can take place. Now, we are going to be aware of if this is some kind of upward move that then fails, right? Upward move that then fails would look a lot like these times over here, where you see upside in the morning, towards the end of the day, drop off. See upside in the morning, end of the day, drop off. So we'll be paying attention to if we see some rejection at this area. And the reason that we're going to talk about upside is because I'm going to pop over to volatility just for a moment to show you guys if this 30-minute looks like it can cross down. And it really looks like to me, we got divergence for the VIX here on the MACD and RSI at the same time, which means some kind of pullback for this 30-minute could be coming. Is that going to react back up into positive territory again? And that's where the FOMC comes into play. If we are making this upside move and then we get to where it's FOMC coming out at 1 p.m. my time, aka 2 hours before the close, if we're in these areas, we have to see, are we going to see some good news and see something crazy, or are we going to get rejected? And volatility can really help us out with that going into tomorrow. But that's why we're talking about upside right now. Let's still be aware of the downside potential. This 2 hour has not crossed yet, but you do have the RSI below the center line, meaning we can end up down to that weekly expected move, down to the daily expected move to test the bottom of this channel tomorrow right away if we wanted. So we'll look for reactions when the FOMC is coming, and that's a big thing I wanted to talk about on the SPY here. How were we reacting to data? Were you trying to guess before data? Did you react after data, or did you just hope and pray that something went good for you? Take control of your trading. During this downside move, we saw the divergence play pop up. Okay, awesome. Where did I start to take profit? Here and here, leaving my runners, seeing that pull back because I'm looking for that retest of maybe even a lower side expected move or something, and then see if we can get to that weekly expected move. I get bad news from data, I react. I get out of all of my longs just in case something bad is going to happen. Something bad ended up happening, but if that 30-minute is able to curl up, couldn't that be the next positive move into positive territory? And that's going to be a big deal because I want you to look at these moments. I want you to look at these moments. Okay, in this moment right here, we actually were able to cross up, but where were we? Negative territory. In this moment right here, we were not able to cross up to confirm the next move trying to go into positive territory. So something we're going to pay attention to early on in the day is, does this cross up into positive territory? And after we get FOMC, does that continue, or does this cross back down? And that's really what we have to pay attention to with the SPY. Start to react to data. Don't try to guess, right? Have a plan that is going to really help you out as a trader going into certain events like data drops, like FOMC. And what is your plan for tomorrow? Sit down, write it down, look at your position, see what's happening, and then make a plan. Because my plan was take profit on the way up, leave some runners in case we start to squeeze even more. But if I see bad data in the morning, I'm out. And that's exactly what took place. And now I can sit and be like, hey, do I want to buy this? Because there are potential reversal signals popping up on individual stocks that you don't necessarily see on the SPY. Weirdly enough, the place that you're going to see that reversal signal is on the Qs. Now 522.22 to the upside, and we have 508.14 to the downside. 15-minute is what we're on right now, and it is flat down there on the MACD, but upward for the RSI. A lot of tech stocks are giving this look, so you have to be paying attention. But once again, since the Qs were the one that I actually traded, took profit, left some runners with Amazon and things like that. We'll talk about it in a moment. And then once I see that drop down, I'm out. We did not confirm the move higher for the 15-minute, and that is enough to tell me, hey, watch out, because we can head down to a daily expected move or see something crazy to the downside. So key thing for tomorrow is this could be pretty simple if we're looking at it in a simple way with our bullish lens, as we just saw a very bullish look with a sturdy base. What if this is just an overreaction? What if we're just breaking out of a zone, we're retesting into it to head higher? We do that all the time, okay? The last time we were down in these areas, what do? We broke through, we retested right on the top, maybe a little bit outside, but right in that area to then fling ourselves higher. And maybe this is just one of those moments. So we'll see what happens with FOMC, but we still want to be cautious, even though volatility is saying, hey, we could turn up in the morning. We don't want to be caught up in something like this. If we see bad news from FOMC, even if this 30-minute crosses up, if that crosses back down, be cautious, right? React is the overall thing. Because if we're going to make some kind of base down here, and maybe this isn't the low, but they scare you out, hey, maybe you'll get an opportunity. So we'll be talking about these things live in the morning. But key thing also to look at is the downside, right? There is downside potential here. Volatility starting to turn up a little bit. But we notice that these 2-hour charts have not crossed. Now, if they do, I want you to have a clear head. If you see this not commit a reversal signal but keep going down, that is going to continue to be bad. But if we come down to these areas and we turn right back up, watch out, because you might have another divergence point right here, and that would be very, very interesting to see, and that might be the fake out for the real squeeze. And maybe this still wasn't a strong enough base just yet. But the key thing here too as well, let's just go over this real quickly. This I've said for a while now. All of this, we've been saying what? It's acting like a bear market. What is a bear market meant to do? It's meant to confuse everyone. It's meant to make everyone lose the most amount of money as possible. It is supposed to rip you around. That is why we teach these things in the course. That is why we teach it very seriously, how to trade a bear market with volatility when it is scaling up. And we do notice that if this wanted to really fake people out, people probably saw the same base that I did, and then it goes up. What if it's not done yet? And that's what I wanted to point out here. Just be willing to react, because this is behaving very sporadically at this point, and this could just curl up and everything's good tomorrow. So we'll be paying attention. I just wanted to point out another area where you are seeing that 15-minute divergence that could curl up a 30-minute chart into positive territory. Now you're noticing that IWM showing the divergence just like the Qs. Okay, and the reason I'm pointing this out is because as I go look over at Apple, remember that Apple was the P, right? The P for patience, and did your patience pay off? You didn't have to wait too long. Apple is actually showing a pretty good reversal signal here. It has not confirmed, but this is how it would want to make that move to take back this 5-day moving average. So this is how you take back this high and start that series of higher lows and higher highs. And does the 2-hour show something as well? Hey, that 2-hour showing potential for divergence down there on the MACD and RSI. We could see a good move here. Were you paying attention, and were you being patient, right? You could have waited this whole time if you missed out on that first move. Well, Apple was what I was keeping my eye on, and now I'm looking if this 30-minute can confirm up, and then I'll be paying attention to my risk around the FOMC. As we go over to Tesla, just because we've been talking about these in tandem, because they weren't the best reversal signal, so we knew they would most likely need to dip down to lower levels or get, for Tesla, as it saw a good move, a higher low. So we're paying attention to the fact that Tesla is potentially making a higher low. It is still really close to the center line. Don't let that selling get in your head when you're starting to see some things from 15 minutes pop up. They are trying to make bases here, and our job is to see if that is going to prove itself by curling up on this MACD, and then you have a chance to take out this high and go make a new one. What this is doing for Tesla, if we're able to confirm this and go make a new high, and we don't lose it very quickly, is it's saying a low, a high, a higher low, and then if a higher high comes, wouldn't that be the beginnings of a positive trend overall? So that's what we're going to be paying attention to going forward for Tesla. A higher low for tomorrow is what we will be watching, and see if it can go make a higher high even after FOMC. Just to point it out, Amazon is well showing the 15-minute divergence there slightly, right? Very slightly on the MACD. We'll see if that can curl up slightly on the RSI. We got to see if those fail at some point, right? Be paying attention if they fail. But this is stating that the 30-minute could curl up into positive territory. Now you're noticing a little tiny bit deeper, so this might take a couple bars of positivity to actually show you like, hey, yeah, I'm trying to carve this out as a higher low, but that's what we need to be paying attention to. We are seeing some kind of reversal signal down here, and volatility showing the same thing. So it is leaning me towards positivity in the morning, which is kind of weird because you would expect the selling to continue. Now, did the 2-hour cross? Yes, it did. But how did it cross for Amazon? Is this a great crossing? Well, we do notice it is below the 9, it is below the 5, so it's pretty good, but it's on a positive bar, so we'll be paying attention to it, but it is suggesting that Amazon could come all the way down to these levels and maybe even make another divergence point. So we will be paying attention to that as well. But those seem like the two things that I would look into as far as Amazon goes. One that I would be a little bit more worried about is actually Nvidia, because you have a solid confirmation. Amazon did it at the end of the day. That's only like 30 minutes of price action. It's starting to go up in the post. We're seeing a lot of things go up in the post. That's fine. But Nvidia here actually crossed on a solid red bar below the 9, below the 5. So really Nvidia is saying, hey, I have high potential to see a further pullback. So just keep that in mind. You can always see 30-minute bounces, but we'll look for 30-minute lower highs. Remember, we're going to seriously talk about this because a lot of people are like, why is Nvidia flushing? Why is Nvidia flushing? Well, profit taking from the options market. We have our weekly expected move in this area, right? And then the other thing is they just had an event and it looked like somebody sold the news. And the other thing is we got data today. So Nvidia had a lot of things going on today and that caused some selling to come in. But what did we know before Nvidia even made any of these moves? We knew where the risk was, right? Let's really talk about risk to reward for just a split second here and show like potential, right? These aren't the weekly expected moves. This is why we give them on Patreon. They're so damn useful. It's insane. The options market was pricing in a move to right here. You know where it got to? Right here. And then we see downside from that area. What you need to understand about risk to reward with these weekly ranges is from this area here, your reward is maybe that with a 68% confidence, right? But anytime you go up to these areas, this is the zone you're supposed to hold up in. Is this a great short? No, I don't think you had reasons to short, but it ended up flushing. And so mainly this is a risk to reward standpoint. Going long from this point here says, I'm ignoring risk to reward. And the risk is you could end up all the way down here by the end of the week. So why would I do that up here? I want to be making decisions in here with good signals, right? The 30-minute divergence right here, it pops up. We go to a weekly expected move. Where do you think it is going to back off? Potentially where people are going to take profit at the weekly expected move, which is my 68% zone. That's why these weekly expected moves are so helpful and we put them out on Patreon. Okay, we should not be taken back by this. And even here, the 30-minute cross down, the great cross down there below the 9 on the 30-minute, and we go all the way down to the 5, and it was so far away from the 5 that we were saying even in yesterday's video, hey, that could go reconnect with the 5. It could move sideways, it could head down, but it has the biggest reaction to the 5, so watch out for Nvidia because that could make a brief divergence up here, and then it could start to flush. Now, we also said, hey, that could squeeze too, but now I think you have the potential to dip down, see if you can cross up into positive territory. That's going to take a couple of bars, but be very aware of the fact that this 2-hour did cross and it was a good confirmation. So Nvidia is kind of leaning towards a little bit more downside. We'll see if that 30-minute can contradict that by turning up tomorrow. Hey, we're crashing, but Meta's looking pretty decent there. So we're paying attention to Meta. It has not curled back up on the 30-minute, but look how positive that is, and it had the best base. Meta truly had the best base, and we knew this as well. Again, like Nvidia, risk, reward, right? The reward for the week was right here. So where's the risk from this standpoint? All the way down towards here, wherever, you know, the weekly expected moves are. Got to join Patreon to get that. But this is what can really unlock you as a trader. It truly is super helpful. If I was bullish on Meta and I took the trade down in here when that setup was available, and then I see that 2-hour confirm up, I'm feeling very comfortable. And then that hits a weekly expected move. Where for the week is this most likely to see resistance? The top side weekly expected move. So this should be expected. If you've been a part of this channel for a little while and you're part of the Patreon, you should understand that Meta, the risk to reward was not there at this point. The whole thing going here is pretty much risk. Reward is unknown. So the risk is almost 100%, right? That's how I like to treat it. The risk is I'm going to ruin a good trade because I'm getting greedy. Don't get greedy, right? If you want to get, even if you know, what I like to do to supplement my greed, if you will, is if I'm going up to these levels, I'm going to sell most of my contracts and I can leave 2 runners. Then if something bad happens, I can manage and then wait for the next opportunity. The next opportunity is showing itself if this 30-minute can curl up into positive territory. But once again, that would take you outside of a weekly expected move. And if you see divergence start to confirm, that can be an even bigger pullback than that one right here. Microsoft was actually better than Apple and Tesla just because it actually had some kind of reversal signal down here on the MACD and RSI at the same time. So this actually did see a good move, went to the top of our zone, backed off to retest the 5, kind of lost it a little bit there. So on the 15-minute, you're noticing no real divergence there for Microsoft. So we'll pay attention if this can make that 30-minute move to the upside. Now, we were still leaning towards some kind of reload, some kind of higher low, or even a divergence here for Microsoft, because this is like Apple and Tesla. We were being patient and seeing if this needed to back off. If this starts to show its face, hey, that's a bullish signal actually for me. That is a bullish reversal signal. And so what we're looking for here is, does the 30-minute just start to go up? The good part about this is kind of like Tesla. It was a good enough move that if you carve this out as a higher low and you start to beat that, you now have a series of higher lows, higher highs, and that would be a fantastic thing for Microsoft. Very, very simple. And at the end of the day, since you made it this far in this video, you could sit and just watch all of this behavior and look at a daily chart and go, hey, is the daily swing trade there yet? Nope. Gotta wait a little bit more time. Patience will always benefit you. You know, I know we want to jump into plays and things like that, but patience can really be the best way to make money in markets like this one. AMC, we're just going to talk about this briefly on the daily chart because we did something really good today. We actually crossed up this MACD, and that's what we were looking for on a positive indecision bars. And these are really weird bars to be getting right now, so very interesting. But you see the downward price action, you see on the MACD we are slightly up here for that MACD, we are up for sure on the RSI, so pretty significant. We even have 2-hour and 30-minute divergence down here, so I'm already in this, and now that the daily's crossed, I feel pretty good. I'm aware of the risk of the 2-hour dropping down for another dip into these areas if it needs to even make more of a buying opportunity for me. I'm down with it, and I'm aware of my risk, so that's what I'd be paying attention to. This means that, hey, we have a good shot if daily momentum can kick in to actually see a good move from AMC, especially if you can get above 450. Now, GME, fantastic look. I'm not going to lie. This looks pretty good. Pay attention to daily divergence if we actually get a solid confirming down bar. But right now, the daily is turned up. We got rid of that crappy signal. This was not a good signal for downside. It was saying, hey, I'm a positive bar above the 9 and the 5. We already talked about that. Where is the risk? Where is the reward? Well, technically, if you're looking for the reward, I'm assuming you want this to go through the sky. So you've got to get through that weekly move. We give that for you at 34.70. And I just want you to pay attention to the fact that still holding as resistance, but this looks pretty good. The daily is positive in positive territory. The 2-hour is positive in positive territory. And even the 30-minute is positive in positive territory, which is everything you're looking for. Now, if this 30-minute does drop, it can see a little bit more of a drop tomorrow just because you actually do have 30-minute and 15-minute divergence. You have 15-minute divergence up there, but 30-minute divergence on the RSI, which means this could back off for another retest of the 5. It can remain bullish, but remember, if that daily chart starts to cross, you start to lose that 5. This can get a little bit ugly for GameStop. The other thing that was confirming throughout the morning and unconfirming after the data was the dollar. We still have not seen that reaction down from the dollar to really encourage bullishness, and we even saw a reaction again up from the yields, which is causing a lot of problems as TLT is dropping. Now, one thing with TLT, I wanted to look at where is it? High yield growth. High yield growth actually making a pretty nice upward move here. I know it flushed today. It's down by the 5, but still a pretty good upward move here. So very interesting to see that going forward. So I think we'll just be paying attention to this, how things look before FOMC and how the reaction is, and have our plan in place to react. But volatility today was up by more than 10%. This is the reaction we were looking for. This is why we pointed out 30-minute divergences right away in the morning at the beginning of the live show. Make sure you're tuning in at the beginning of the live show, because that's usually when we point out something that's very important that you need to be paying attention to. We have potential for actually a higher low here, not really a double bottom, but we were paying attention to it. Look at that curl up right by the center line. That's when you want to watch out. That's when volatility can come in. And the 2-hour was able to cross up. So the 2-hour is going positive, but reminder, In the morning, we might see positivity due to the 15-minute divergence that is here. If we start to see the 30-minute go negative, we start to see the 2-hour cross back down, all of this might be some kind of trap at this point. So we'll be paying very serious attention to this, because this is saying that the 2-hour is pointing up, and maybe we just get a pullback for volatility, aka some kind of upward move. That's why we're going to be paying attention to how stocks look before the FOMC and if they are at their daily expected moves and what volatility is telling us. Because if volatility turns down on this 30, remember it starts trading at like 2 a.m. This starts up at 2 a.m. So for me, if this curls down and then you see that confirm back up throughout the day, that could be a big problem. So we'll be paying attention to it here on this channel. So what's the main takeaway? Well, we're still seeing that rip around kind of behavior, so managing risk is going to be very important. If only it was as easy as this time, and this time when we were calling it out. Well, this time it's a little bit more complex, but when it is more complex, it means if we can watch this very, very seriously, most likely this is going to be a big move, and we'll see what happens from it. Because if this liquidity caused that, I wonder what all of this could cause when we actually break one of these levels. So let's be paying attention. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Make sure to be reacting out there, trading like water. But thank you so much for liking, subscribing. You guys are fantastic. If you want to learn any of this stuff, we do have the courses down there in the description. They are 90% off as of right now. The full technical analysis course will really show you how to manage risk in certain moments, how to find bottoms like this for those runs. And they've proven to be very, very good plays. And it'll even teach you how to utilize, or what these how to utilize and what these actually are when you talk about the weekly expected move. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys have all the luck in the world in the morning, and I will be with you in the morning to watch stocks live tomorrow. So peace out.